Hi, my name is Prisca and I'm a money coach. And today I'm going to teach you how to not go broke being a high earner.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Don't Go Broke Trying. I'm excited to be back in your headphones. So today I am really excited because we are going to be talking about something that really doesn't get discussed enough, and that is how high earners can still feel broke or stuck with their finances. So as you all know, and maybe you don't know, I am a coach. I coach people and educate people all about their finances, and I have coached hundreds of people so far, and I have met people who are making multiple six figures who still feel like they're living paycheck to paycheck, and some of them are in a lot of debt as well. So yeah, and I know some people may hear that and be shocked, but it's actually a very common reality. So I want to make sure that today I am teaching you how to make, keep, and grow your money and actually find peace while doing it. So I'm not here alone. I know I am a high earner, but I thought let's bring another boss babe high earner to talk to you guys. So today I am with Prisca. She is from Our Green Life, and she is a money coach and a nurse who grew her net worth by over $410,000 in the last 7 years. And during that, she also kept wellness and balance at the center of her financial journey. So hi, Prisca. Welcome. How are you?
I'm fine, Reni.
Thank you for being here. I'm very excited to talk to you. I love speaking to women who are also high earners, but know what to do with their money as well. So I'm excited for you to teach our audience today. So could you just tell us a little bit about who you are and what's inspired you to start Our Green Life?
Yeah, so I graduated from nursing school in 2011. I thought that was going to be the fix to all my money concerns. I remember as a kid, like, we can't afford this. I'm like, oh, one day I'm afford everything. Okay, so I had big dreams with my money, but I didn't honestly know any bit of how to manage it, and I didn't know it at the time. And so I bought 2 cars in the first year.
Two.
Yes, girl. Two in the first year. My credit cards knew no limits. Okay. It was a hot mess. But that was to me such a normal way of life. And then when I got married, my husband had no debt. And I was like, he gets to like save money and like do stuff with his paychecks. I was like, this is an interesting way to live. Let's start talking about that.
What a concept, right?
Yeah, I know. And it's not like I've never seen people save before, but I think, whatever money lessons stick at the time, like that's just what you do. And so mine had chosen to do debt. Okay. And then now I have this guy that's saving money. So I was like, okay, we started to be more intentional, paid off my debt and all that stuff. But then I still felt like my net worth didn't look like that of a nurse, especially not in the Northeast. It's very much associated with you're rich, you're wealthy. And I was like, my net worth says opposite. And so I started listening to personal finance podcasts and I started applying those things. And I saw how simple it was to actually build a wealth. And it just is about creating a system that you could apply, for me anyway, time after time after time. And that's how we got the results we're talking about today.
Nice. I love how you say it's so simple because it's actually very simple. Like, we just have to invest and save more than we spend each month.
That's it.
That's it. But I'm sure we'll get into that in detail and how you actually got about doing it. Because yes, it seems simple in practice, but there's a lot of mindset and learned behavior that we have to unlearn in order to do that.
Yes.
So on this podcast, we like to go all the way back so we can know a little bit about who you are. So I know you are the child of Haitian immigrants. I'm also a child of Nigerian immigrants. And a lot of us who grew up in immigrant households have very complicated relationships with money, right? We have a lot of messages around the importance of hard work, and save for security, and then also sacrifice yourself to give to everybody else. So I just want to know, what is your earliest memory of money and how do you think that shaped your relationship with money growing up?
Well, for me, my first memory of money was when I had that thought that I just described about, we can't afford this. Like, nobody ever explained what that really meant. So to me, it was just like, oh, well, I'm just going to make more money. Like, that's to me is a solve of the problem, And so that was the first memory I had. And then also, like, we lived in, like, most immigrants, like, we come here and, like, everybody lives in the same house. And so all our resources are for everyone. And so, like, it was very eye-opening for me in terms of learning how to wealth build, because kind of the antithesis of building is like giving all your money away. Like you have to set boundaries and limits, and people don't really like that. Okay,
Nope.
especially when your society and your community is more so about like giving everything to others. Like if you have to give. And it's not to
Yeah.
say that when you're wealth building you don't want to give, but you have to recognize the limits, because at some point you will not have enough to give, and so like it just stunts our growth as a community as a whole.
Yeah, that's very real. I think, as you said, we grew up in like collectivist societies where everybody takes care of each other and sometimes at the detriment of themselves, right? So I think it's a very big thing that I see, especially with people I coach, where like I met someone who was giving like $1,000+ a month to family back home in Nigeria, and I was like, "Girl, you have credit card debt. Like you literally are going into debt in order to give." I don't think
Yes.
if the people really knew that, they would they would be asking for this money every month. Maybe they still would, I don't know,
And if
but
they would, then that means you don't deserve your money. That's the way I see it.
that part, yeah. And I love how you mentioned also that, your first memory of money was when you heard that, oh, we can afford that. So then you're like, I'm gonna afford it one day. I find that when I meet people like that, they either go one of two ways. One, they like spend like once they are able to afford things, then they go nuts, and buy anything they want to kind of satisfy their inner child. Or they go the other way where it's like, I have money finally. I'm not spending a dime on anything. I'm hoarding this money so that I can like make sure that I never go back to when I couldn't afford things. So, since you bought your two cars, would you say that you ended up going the first way?
Yeah, definitely, for sure. And my shoe closet would have told you that I went that direction too.
Please explain the two cars, please. Why did you need
Okay.
two?
Okay. So what happened was I knew what car I was gonna get when I graduated college, right? And I was like, I was never a big car fiend, but I was like, there's one car that always attracted my attention. I was like, when I graduate, I'm gonna get that car. And then when it went for maintenance, they let you borrow a car, while your car was in the lot. And I was like, oh, I like this car. Like, okay. And I literally traded my car in. The
Oh,
dream
wow.
car. That just
Wow.
shows you how fickle these kind of dreams are. My
Yeah.
dream car, I traded in for another car. That's
Yeah.
literally how I got two cars in 1 year.
Fair enough, fair enough. But I'm sure you
Yeah.
learned a lesson that maybe that wasn't the wisest way to spend my money, right?
That's how well, I don't want everybody to learn the hard way, but some people, that's how they have to learn it. That's the way
Yeah.
Prisca learned it.
Yeah, they say those who do not hear must feel, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I know also in immigrant households, a lot of us are raised with like dreams and expectations that are placed on us. And I know you decided to go the path of nursing. Was that part of your upbringing that pushed you towards nursing, and that was the idea of success, or how did your immigrant background influence the way you saw success?
Yeah. So yes and no. So my mom wasn't too big on like you have to be a doctor or a lawyer, that kind of thing. But college was never not an option. Like you just had
Yeah.
to go. And so when it came to decisions about what I wanted to do, we kind of explored my interests, which I know not every immigrant child gets that blessing.
Definitely not.
And so my science and math were like where I excelled in school and where I had passion, especially with science. And so like nursing is kind of like a byproduct of that, plus the fact that I really enjoy helping people. So we went through a couple things like like my mind anyway, vet school. My mom was like, nah, you're not doing that. And
You're
then
not an animal doctor.
yes. She's like, no. Then she told me about this random job that I've never heard of since. Okay, but it does exist, like a pap smear examiner. I was like, wow, what a unique thing. Where you're
Very
looking
niche.
at, the samples under a microscope. But all these things like science based, and eventually I wound up to nursing, and so that's how I got here.
Okay, cool. And you became a nurse, and you built a very impressive career as a nurse, and soon became a high earner. But as we can tell from what you said, that didn't really automatically translate into financial abundance, financial
Yep.
peace, and stuff. So first, like, what did the early stages of your career look like once you became a nurse?
So first, I started a job that I hated. Okay, and I knew I was gonna hate it when I went in, but it was you fresh out of nursing school. My job was to make money. Like that. That was my whole thing because I
Yeah.
just never knew when I would be tapped on, by family or whatever for like cash, right? And it wasn't like anybody was asking for anything per se, but you just never know. Things happen, and so I'm like, it was getting so rough compared to how much the school kind of like prompted in your head that, hey, it's going to be so easy to find a job. I was like, oh my God. So this place had an open house and I got the job and I did hate it for 6 months. Okay. To the point that I actually almost quit. And then, but fortunately, another Haitian woman, had the know-how to tell me, hey, you're too young in nursing to quit, so go per diem instead. And that's basically how I made the rest of my career. I didn't go full-time again so I graduated nursing school in 2011. I didn't go full-time again until 2018. I was per diem all the way. And I was trying all sorts of different things in nursing. But when it comes to the financial part, when I left that job, I cashed out that 403B. I was not like saving the money very intentionally. And like there were other things that we got wrapped in, like a financial advisor. Not to say there's anything wrong with a financial advisor, but someone who wasn't really listening to our needs, didn't really explain financial products to us. They were just kind of doing the thing. I also got life insurance that I didn't need, which I learned down the line. And so all these things are like, they kind of say like, especially when you're a hire earner, these things come to you in terms of like, hey, you should be doing this. You should do this. You should, protect what you're growing. But not all of it is actually to your best interest. So that's kind of like how the early years look for me.
Okay. And could you just explain what per diem means for those of us who aren't in the nursing world? Yeah.
Per diem means that you are trading benefits for cash. So you have the flexibility of not being on a set schedule. They usually have like a minimum amount of time they want you to work per month. But you do not have to work 3 shifts a week like most nurses do here in the States. You make more because you're not getting PTO. You're not getting pretty much any of the other benefits, except most places still allow you to contribute yourself to your 403B, but they won't contribute to yours either. So
it's basically like maybe in the corporate world, like contract jobs, basically, where you can take on a contract and you're not a full-time employee, meaning you get 0 benefits, but you get typically paid much better because you're not paying for those benefits. Is that similar?
Yeah, sort of. The only difference is I think in my experience, most contract jobs, you're still working full-time hours and you don't have to. Like I was working 2 days a week on purpose, but I could have worked one day every 2 weeks. So you have that flexibility.
Okay. So once you started working per diem, you started making great money. So what did you start doing with that money? I know at first you bought a car. You also mentioned debt. How were you getting into debt? Was it the car that got you into debt or?
No, that was just in addition to. So because of the fact that I was a nurse living this lifestyle, and I was one of the first people to actually in my like friend group that got a job, like a grown-up job. So, we were going out to eat, I'm just swiping because I got it like that, and I went to Charlotte Russe. I don't know if you know Charlotte Russe, but I went in there and I would pile on shoes. I had no place to even put all these shoes. Okay. Literally like would leave the store with at least 10 pairs with any given trip. And so, cause I was obsessed. And so I was just giving myself whatever I felt like I wanted, without thinking really like, hey, what's the long-term effect of this? To me, it's like, this is life.
Yeah.
This is great.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people are in this situation. Like, this isn't as unique as we would think. Like, a lot of people are in this situation. So then what was the turning point that made you say, okay, like, I'm done with this. I need to actually get good with my money. Maybe was it when you married your husband?
That was the first step. And that's the other thing that's interesting, I feel like, is that not every transformation happens all at once, right? And so that was like the impetus for change. And so that's where we started to be more intentional with our money. Like we bought our place. I mean, what we were renting at the time. We didn't get cable because like we don't watch it. Like why are we doing this? I had a gym membership that I wasn't going to the gym. I was like, well, you know what? I'm gonna start like working out at home. Because that way, if I can manage to do that, then maybe I'll go back to the gym once I build consistency and the discipline in myself, And then like instead of going on trips and like swiping and then just trying to figure it out after, we started saving up, having an account for vacation so that when we go there, like we could spend, but not worry about a big bill waiting for us on back home. So like these are kind of things that we started to adopt around that time.
Nice. And then I know you also said that, okay, you tried all different types of nursing. So I have a lot of friends who are nurses, and a lot of them are like, they moved away from bedside nursing, which I guess, correct me if I'm wrong, is when you are at the hospital and
yes.
You can explain it better than me.
Yes, direct care for patients at the hospital. So when they are sick, they come in usually through the ER, but some people come in planned. and you are taking care of them. You are basically like whatever their needs are, you are tending to. And so that is what bedside nursing is.
So did you try any other non-bedside nursing jobs? Is that how you were able? Like, I
Yes,
know it was
honey.
per diem, but were they non-bedside jobs that were able to
Yes.
help
So
you
I
make more
have
money?
done where I taught. I have done
Mm,
where I did home care. I did home infusion. I did, what's the other one I did? I did home care intake, which is in an office where you're taking in the referrals for home care. So that when
okay.
a doctor is like calling in an order for home care, like somebody has to take in that information, make sure it makes sense. Because of course insurance won't pay if you don't have a reason to have home care. And so, and then disseminating that to the field staff. So those are just some of the things I did. I was all over because I had the flexibility as per diem to try all sorts of things.
Okay, so would you recommend that, like, if somebody is trying to, they're a nurse, they're making decent money, of course, but they want to make better money, would you recommend like trying out different things outside of bedside nursing in order to get there?
For sure. I think there's a lot of the beauty of nursing is that there is so much variety. A lot of nursing now, a lot of them are nurse entrepreneurs is becoming a big thing now as well. So like, but in the flexibility of being bedside for the people who are doing it, like working 3 days a week gives you time to like explore those other things. Like you can
Yeah.
even be per diem at another job, like, and like really explore your passions to see where you really want to delve into. Not bedside, the attachment a lot of people have to bedside, besides the fact that some people just naturally love it, and I think that's great. Other people, it's just that's where you're going to make the most money. Like it doesn't
Okay.
always add to like unless you're going to go into leadership, you're not necessarily going to make more money than you are bedside. And a lot
Okay.
of people don't want to be managers and stuff. So then you have
No.
to like create a lifestyle that allows you flexibility, right? So that way you can take a little bit of a pay cut if it's required to do what you love. Nobody wants a nurse that don't want to be there, like
But I feel like, well, there's a stereotype online that they're like the mean girls in high school
yeah,
they all became
I hate
nurses.
that. I hate it so much.
I feel like there's a little truth behind it because sometimes I'm like these nurses are mean. Like why don't
Yeah.
they don't want to be here? That's how it feels sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, go be somewhere else. This places where nurses don't even have to look at people. Go do that.
Yeah, they should go there. They should go and do that. Okay, so now let's get into the money because again, we've gone on the journey. You became a nurse, you started making great money, and then you started making small changes that helped you really get good with your money. But
Yes.
I read that you, in the first 7 years of your career, you had built your retirement portfolio to about $40,000, which is still admirable. But in the next 7 years, you grew it over $410,000, I believe,
Yes.
right? So that is incredible. And
Thank
we just
you.
need a round of applause for that. But could you tell us like what changed and what specific habits or mindsets helped you to grow your wealth? So give us so that anybody who's listening can be like, okay, I'm going to do this, this, and this, and hopefully it will help me to grow my wealth.
Yes. So the first thing I want to say is knowing what's possible is the first thing, right? So there was no particular moment that's like I saw this thing or I did this thing. I just was like one day I was like my net worth does not look like that of a nurse. I'm like, and then I started listening to personal finance podcasts. And there back then too, there weren't a lot of people of color doing this. Okay. So I'm listening to older white people, okay, telling us how to manage money. And I'm cool with that, right? Because the way I see it, even if I couldn't accomplish what they could accomplish, because they don't have the limitations that I do, being a first gen, being a person of color, being a woman, perhaps, one of the first podcasts is to inspire women. Though, so that's what I was like, yeah. But just the fact that, like, even though they didn't have those limitations, I'm like, I'm going to take what I can get and make the most out of what I can do. And I think the biggest downfall I see in people is when I see other people posting like, oh, I did this, or you could save this. If you save this much, you'll get to this. And they're like, well, I can't even save that. Oh, child, then you're not
Oh,
going to get nowhere. Okay.
I have
I'd
to.
rather hear you say, how close could I get to that? So
Yes.
I think
Oh.
that's the first thing.
Prisca, I love that you mentioned that because I even made a post about this recently that you can like there are two types. Everyone says they don't want to be the smartest person in the room, right? They say that, oh, I want to be able to learn from everybody else. But then a lot of people actually, when they hear someone who's maybe doing better than them or makes more money than them or something aspirational, their first thing is not, how can I do that? It's instead, oh, there's no way I can do that, or you're
Yeah.
lying, or they're very
Yep.
skeptical about it. And I'm like, how do you expect to not be the smartest person in the room if you're acting like this? You're never going to learn from
Yes.
those people, right? So I totally agree with you that it's first about like opening your mind to all the possibilities that are out there. And I think, as you
Yes.
said, a good way to do that is listening to podcasts, reading books. Do you have any that you recommend, like any resources that you recommend for our people?
Yeah, I feel like the most effective for me was the Choose Five podcast. They really like made the concepts like financial freedom, savings rate, retirement not being an age but a number. I was baffled hearing these things. I'm like, I never heard these terms a day. Not a single
Ooh.
soul in my circle was talking about this. And so like to be able to be exposed to that, and they really broke it down like very easily. Like they didn't make it complicated like some financial experts make it. It was very approachable. And I'm like, that like made the biggest impact in my life. And then they also promote a lot the book The Simple Path to Wealth by J.L. Collins. And I recommend that book time and time again because he wrote it for his daughter. So it's a very easy read. And very easy to implement his thing. And then as you get more attuned, then you may want to like expand past what he teaches you, but you don't have to be wealthy. And I think that's the beautiful thing with that. So I think those two are great starts. And then like I also really do like Ramit Sethi's I Would Teach You to Be Rich.
Me too. I feel like people have mixed thoughts on it, but I am a big fan of Ramit Sethi and all his work, like his podcast, his book, everything. But I'm going to check out the two other resources that you mentioned because I haven't actually read them or listened to their podcast.
Nice.
Okay, so step one you said was mindset. What would you say is next in order to help people grow their wealth?
Then it's implement. So for me, like some of the things I was looking to do is be more intentional with my money. So at this point, I was already saving on purpose to some degree, but what I was doing was I would save what was left of my paycheck. And so the amount of money that would go to my savings could vary greatly from paycheck to paycheck. It could be $100 one week, $400 the next week. And while that's okay, right, if that's what you're doing now, it's much better to flip the script and save first. So what happened was there's two things that helped me do this. One is by putting it as a line item in my budget savings. I actually do not engage with any bills when it comes to my paycheck until I put money in savings to be even more mindset oriented about it. Like nobody, I get my money first, okay? Then Visa could get his money, okay? So making that, like picking a solid number or percentage that goes every time, right? But that solid percentage, you want it to be where you're not just pulling it right back out because then that's really not savings.
Yeah.
So pick a number or a percentage that you could do consistently and make sure that happens first. The other way that I implement this is by when I increase my retirement savings. So at the time I was doing 6% because that's what all it took to get the match. But now that I know you can max out retirement, another concept I've never heard of before. Okay. Never heard that concept before. I was like, okay, let me see what it would look like to max it out this year. And it was 20%. And I was like, woo, child. Okay. That seems like a big jump, but let me try it. Right. And so when I did it, I was like, you could always flip it back. Don't ever be afraid to like mess with how much you're putting in retirement because you could always reverse it by the next paycheck from most places. And so when I did that, it meant less money was coming into my house. More money is going to me, for my future me, but less money is coming into my house, which meant I was spending less naturally because I wasn't trying to ride up my credit cards. So that would be the second step. Both fit into that, which is pay yourself first and do as much of that as you can.
Okay, I love that. And when you say max out retirement, can you explain what that means for people who may not know? I know we hear that term, but like, what does that actually mean?
Yes. So in the US, there is a limit as to how much you could put towards retirement in tax advantage accounts. So most workplaces have something like a 401k or 403b. Some places have 457s, but they all have limits to how much money you could put in at any given tax year. And so for the 403b, at the time it was like 18 grand. Now it's like $23,500, I think, for this year, where you can put that much in retirement yourself. And then your job, if they contribute, that doesn't even count to that. Like they can contribute to get you past that limit. So it's a beautiful thing because like, I think most people, like they pick like a number and they kind of just stick to it because like, this is what you do. You're supposed to put money in your retirement account, but with no intention. But my intention is if I want to leave my job, I want to be able to without worrying about, my lifestyle, not being able to afford it, having to work, and maxing out your retirement account can get you there significantly faster.
Okay, nice. Thank you for sharing that. And for those who are in Canada, we have the RRSP, which is a registered retirement savings plan, and it works the exact same way. Your employer will typically match it, and your limit, you can check it out on the My CRA website, but it's essentially 18% of your pay for last year. That is what your limit will be. So you can contribute that every year, and it's actually cumulative. So if you haven't used it for the past 5 years, 10 years, whatever, you still have room to put into your RRSP.
Oh, I'm jealous.
I know. It's good. And it's tax advantage. So Canadians don't take advantage of it enough. Most people never max out their RSP. So I think it's important for people to know that. And also, one thing to know, everyone, the reason you need to save for retirement or just invest for retirement as well is because you want to be able to retire, as Prisca said, comfortably and not be stressed and like have to go back to work at age 70 because you've run out of money. And most people never really plan for retirement, which means you're planning to work for the rest of your life. And I don't know about y'all, but I do not plan to work for the rest of my life. So just as you mentioned earlier, retirement is actually not an age, it's a number. Once I reach that number and I have enough money that I can pull from my investments every year without running out of money, I know that, okay, I have enough. My investments will keep growing and growing and growing, even if I don't add a dime more to this. So that is the importance of contributing to your retirement accounts. Okay.
Yes. I just want to add too that last year was the first year my investment accounts made more money than me. And I was like, wow.
Please tell us more. Please tell us more. How does that work? So the growth.
I just use an app to track my funds, and when I looked at how much it grew in the last year, it was well over the amount I make per year. And I make about $120,000 a year. And that's not to brag, people, but just the numbers. And so when I saw that my investment account did that, I'm like, oh, this works. Okay. Like this is not just, it'll work one day, because I'm only 7 years into my intentional investment journey. And so it's pretty amazing to watch.
Wow. And imagine the next 7 years, it's going to be like a huge, I'm impressed. I love to see it. Okay, cool. So first, we've worked on our mindset. We are now paying ourselves first from every paycheck that we get. What would be the next step that you would say can help us build wealth?
Is it optimize? So what can we do to make our money stretch even further? So one of the things, like if your money is not in a high yield savings account, do that, if that's available to you. That's where you can get money. You could put your money into a savings account that makes more interest than your standard, Chase, Bank of America, where you're only getting like 0.01%. You get, at this time anyway, it's about 3-4%. These percentage will vary. That doesn't mean you need to switch banks every time. Okay.
No.
Please. So conserve your energy.
Yes.
But this is a way to make your money work a little bit harder, because not all your money should be in investments. You do need liquid assets, right? Because things happen and you don't want to, break your heart by having to pull out from your investments, all that beautiful growth it's had. Yes. Also, there are things like, seeing how much more you can invest towards retirement, right? Because like maybe now, 20% or whatever the percentage would be for you, because it depends on your income. Like maybe that's not attainable right now. That's fine. Next year, bump it up one. Next year, bump it up two. Like, don't be afraid to push the limit, because you can always change it. And also looking for ways to save on the way you spend. So I'm a big fan of not necessarily, hey, you got to eat rice and beans. I don't believe in that. I don't even believe that you shouldn't like go on vacation if you're in debt. Like I think that the whole holistic view of a person matters. And so when it comes to like things like your cable, like that's something you could negotiate down without decreasing the quality of your life. Yeah. So your cell phone bill, you get on a plan with a few people that are trustworthy, you're paying significantly less than if you weren't. There's discount, providers now that if it works well in your area, do that, and even I remember, what's the name? There was one thing when we got here, they told us, so I'm in a condo now. We bought this condo. And when we got here, they said there's going to be a assessment for the elevator, right? Which means that everybody got to pool money together to fix this elevator. It's our responsibility now. It's like, okay, years went by, nothing happened. And finally it's like bill time. So then they said, listen, your options are to either do it like installment, like payment plan, or pay it in full. The difference between the two, pay in full was about $9,000. If I were to do installments, when I did the math, it would have been $12,000. Okay. Yes. Because interest, baby, interest.
Oh,
So,
wow.
but that's how life works. Like if you could pay for something annually instead of
Yeah.
monthly, you pay for your car insurance every 6 months or 12 years. 12 years. So every 6 months or 12 months versus paying by month, you're saving a crap ton of money. But it's
Yeah.
hard to do that when you're day to day, you live in paycheck to paycheck. That's why it's better to do this when you're optimized, when you pass, when you have room in your budget. So
Yeah.
now, okay, let's make the most of our money. So those are just some strategies to just maximize the opportunities.
Amazing. And I love how you mentioned that about like just optimizing your spending on bills because as you said, yeah, like my phone bill, I used to pay like Canada has some of the highest rates in the world for phone bills. I don't know why because it's not like the service is amazing or anything, but my phone bill used to be $60 a month, and now I was like, no, I'm not paying that. So what I do on every Black Friday, I actually go and I shop around because all the providers have deals. Now my phone bill is $28 a month. So think about
Wow.
that savings every single month. I can invest that money. I can even spend that money. I can save that money. I can do something else. But like I'm
Yes.
optimizing on the bills that I have. Same thing that you mentioned. Insurance I pay annually. My life insurance I pay annually as well. So I am with you. And some people may say, oh, like this is like I don't know, like they think you're being overly frugal or like doing too much to save money. But I think that this is what wealthy people do. They look for ways that they don't need to unnecessarily spend money, right? It's not
Right,
like
they
you're
don't even want
gaining.
to pay taxes. Okay. You think please. Okay.
Please, please, for real. What would you say if somebody's in a lot of debt right now? Like they're a high earner, so they do have the means to get out of the debt. Do you have any advice on like the practical steps to get out of the debt that they're currently in?
Yes. So I always start with mindset. And I just want to preface this. I'm a very practical person by nature. Mindset was never on the forefront of my plans when I first started getting good with money. But I realized how much peace it brought me to have my money together. And I was like, oh, this is like a real thing. Okay. So just want to add that for anybody who's like, well, who cares about mindset? I didn't care either. Okay. But it makes a difference. So
It
first
does.
off is I want for the person to not see themselves as a failure. Okay. You're not the only person in debt. There's nothing special about you. Okay. When it comes to this. All right. It's not impossible for you to get out. A lot of people have done it, like this is possible. We just got to stick our heads, down and get to work. The second thing is coming up with a strategy. So there are very popular options like the debt avalanche, the debt snowball. Any combination of that works. But the thing that most people do, or a lot of people do, that actually hinders your journey is by trying to put a little bit extra payments on all the debts. Like it just really dilutes your efforts. So with any strategy like the debt snowball or the debt avalanche or whatever method you choose, you're going to list all your debts, list all your interest rates, list all your payments, the dates that they're due, all that. You're going to pick whatever debt is going to be your debt of focus. And then for the rest of them, you're going to pay just the minimums. The debt of focus, you're going to put everything you can towards that. Okay. And this does not mean that, hey, I'm not going to save at all while I'm doing this, because guess what? You're going to if you put every bit of dollars, you bet your car is going to do something that's going to mean you got to get
Some
fixed.
emergency is gonna pop up. Yeah.
It's gonna, that's just Murphy's Law. So protect yourself in the meantime, right? You still got to put some stuff to savings, but tackle everything, put all your energy into that debt. And then once you are done with that, wrap that up, next debt, whatever debt you choose, put all that effort to that. And you'll see a much bigger progress when it comes to your debt payoff.
I love that. And I love that you started off with, you're not special, like it's true because there's so many people in the exact same situation as you. You are not a failure and you don't need to make this your personality that you've made a mistake. Like, yes, you made a mistake or maybe circumstances led you to this place, but now we can change that. So let's focus on that rather than focusing on the debt that we have. And I agree with you. Focus on one debt at a time. Yes, pay your minimums, but like, as you said, it dilutes your efforts when you're trying to pay everything at the same time. Like it will take a lot longer for you to get out of the debt.
Absolutely.
Okay. So I know you've spoken a lot about peace of mind and the peace of mind that managing your finances intentionally has brought. So can you talk about like how financial planning does bring peace of mind into your life?
Yeah. So for example, when that bill came for the elevator, like instead of like freaking out about where the money's coming from, we could actually just sit down and have a conversation, kind of like a boring conversation about where this money is coming from versus like, oh, where do we have to pull this from? Do we even have the money? Do we have to like, and I had options. There's nothing more freeing than options. Okay. And ever since like this journey where I'm like seeing my efforts come to fruition, by planning and like implementing and actually, optimizing all those with your money, you see yourself being successful over and over. Your mind absorbs that. And so when it comes to, there's something, I was talking to my husband the other day and I was like, money does not stress me out. Like I could talk about it all day long. Like it does not, whatever happens, it'll be figured out because I have the know-how and the confidence to know, like I will figure out the resources I need if I were to, or I have the power in me to figure it all out.
And you know what? That is the real flex. Not having 3 cars, 2 cars, whatever
Yep.
it is. Like, this is the real flex. Being able to say, yeah, if anything happens, like, I will be able to figure it out. I have the money and I have a plan to get out of any situation that life may throw at my way. I also had something similar this week where my car, I don't know like what happened, but it just decided to make noises. Okay, the craziest noises I've ever. I thought my tire was about to fall off. Like that's how bad it was.
Wow.
I know. I was like, I cannot drive home, but I had to. So I drove home like an hour to get to, and then I didn't drive home. I drove straight to the mechanic 1 hour away, and he was like, I don't know how you drove this here. This is a death trap. And I was like, well, at least I didn't die on the way here. We thank God. But I drove all that way. And then my bill was $1,400. And, past me would have been like, oh, my God, where's this money going to come from? Da, da, da. But I was like, fix the car. Like, I have it. I have my car fund. I'm good. So
Yeah.
I agree with you. There's nothing like the peace of mind that having your money in order gives you.
And I just want to add too, like, even with all this stuff going on in the world right now, like there is a lot of things that are truly happening, right? Inflation is no joke, okay? Price of food is going up. Cost of living is going up. But do I have to make this my gripe every single day of my life? No, I cannot change what inflation is going to be. I can acknowledge it and move on with my life. How am I going to change what needs to be done in my house? Like, so one of the things I did was like, I was buying organic stuff. I was like, let me dial back. Like, what is essential to be organic versus not? Okay.
Yeah.
And that's how we're going to decide instead of buying all the organic things or the organic chicken. I'm like, you know what? I went my whole life eating regular chicken. I'm going to go back to eat regular chicken right now. Okay.
Fair.
Yeah. So there's power in that, like not seeing the thing and freaking out, like with the news all the time, like we're in a constant state of anxiety. I feel I'm like, we need a place to just chill.
Breathe.
And I want money to be your place to chill.
I love that. That's going to be a clip for this episode. I love it. I want to mention some things that I see high earners doing and see like what you would suggest to help them. So one thing I notice often is, especially people who work shift work, like nurses, sometimes doctors, pharmacists, I see that they make a lot of money, but they have this attitude where they don't save a lot or invest a lot because they know that, oh, if I ever need money or more money this month, I can just work a bit more this month in order to make more money to cover whatever pops up, right? And because I've never worked in that industry, I'm like, that is a wild way to think. But now that I approach so many people in that field, I'm like, it's just the norm here. So What do you have to say about how that mindset can be a bit damaging for people, if you think it's damaging?
Yeah, so I do think it's damaging because I think it's very self-limiting. But first I want to say that nurses a lot of times think of expenses in shifts. So that's how you get that thing too. It's like, okay, if I want to buy this bag, how many shifts do I have to work to get that bag? Okay.
Yes.
So that's how that's perpetuated. So when we make money and we just see it leaving us, it leaves us in a very short-term mindset. And I was in that, I never had a vision long-term for my money. Retirement was like something people said, but I never gave thought to how do I want to live in retirement? How do I want it to look like? How much money would I need? Never gave thought to any of those things. And if you stay in the short term, you will never be able to get there. It's just impossible. You will always be in the grind. And then when you get to the point where something happens where you can't, right? Some people, they have children and they want to change their lifestyle. Some people, they need to take care of aging parents and they need more time. And then you're then scrambling to figure it out. But if you do the heavy leg work now of investing more, saving more now, then you have the option to do whatever you want. You can work as many shifts as you want in the future, but it's not because you have to. It's because you want to.
I like that. I like that. People, listen up. If you felt like that was you, please apply these lessons. Another thing that I see, Prisca, is people who, especially, I would say this is more for doctors, and I would say also, all y'all in healthcare, especially, or lawyers too, where you've been in school for quite a long time, and maybe you've been in that kind of, I don't know, scarcity point of your life
Yep.
where you're living on like your internship money or placements that you're doing, and you're not making much money. So then once you get that first big check, it's like, oh, I'm upgrading my entire lifestyle. So lifestyle creep happens, which again isn't a
Yep.
bad thing. We don't want you to live as if you're a student for the rest of your life, but I
Yes.
think sometimes people buy a house that matches the new salary. They buy a car, they buy this, they buy that, and then it's like they still don't have any money to save because they've inflated their lifestyle so much. So, any advice for people who are about to get into that situation or are currently in that situation?
Yeah, so like you said, we don't want you to live like an intern, when you are a doctor. You should be able to live a little bit more, but do it with intention. I think anything has to be with intention versus like you're a doctor, and this is what got me in the trap too. I'm a nurse, right? So I should be able to get a car and then I get another one.
Yes.
Like I can do that. You do have the ability to do things, but is that what's going to get you what you want in the long run? And that's again the short-term thinking. When people so when me and my husband got this condo, we decided that we're going to get some place where we could afford on one income, right?
Smart.
What can happen? Somebody could get sick and they can't work no more. They become disabled. Somebody could die, right? And even if you have life insurance, I mean, unless you're making I don't know what kind of policy you'd have to cover somebody for life.
No.
But, you want to give your spouse the option to not have to work for however long they feel like is, necessary for them to grieve. And so if you make it where you die and then this whole lifestyle that you've created is now on this person who, depending on the relationship, maybe they're making more, but a lot of them are probably making less, or they're making, or they just don't have the know-how to even manage money. Like it just becomes a big complexity. And a lot of people too that get left behind when they don't have those skills, they're like targets for like the life insurance people or,
Yes.
the financial, the bad financial advisors. I'm not talking about like the good
Yes.
ones. So don't put yourself in a situation where your income is absolutely necessary to live to your next paycheck. It's just a really crappy situation to put yourself in.
I feel like that is great advice, but I also feel like it's hard for a lot of people to take that advice because it's like, yeah, but all my colleagues have a Benz and
I
a
didn't. Sorry.
Audi, and so how do I not do the same thing? My colleagues are going on 5 vacations a year. My colleagues are, so is there any way that you've been able to not have FOMO and do the exact same thing as all your colleagues may be doing? Just as you said, a nurse, I should have this car because I'm a nurse, as a
Yes.
doctor or a lawyer. Yeah. So any advice
So
for them?
one thing is again mindset work. What is it that you actually want? Because seeing somebody have their thing, like for example, like even with that second car I got, I'm like, what reason did I didn't have a real reason for it. Okay. I didn't really have a deep desire for, I don't even have that car today. Okay. Like it just is what it is. So
Yeah.
really create your own vision, your own, instead of this, I see something on the internet, I want it, or I see my coworker have something I want it. What about this means something to me? What value does it bring to me? And then if it really does matter, hey, what percentage of my income will this take up? Is this reasonable? So one of the things, Remy says these exercises is he calls it the conscious spending plan. But basically in my budget is kind of set up where it's there's 4 categories and things have to fit in those categories. If they don't fit, that's it. And I think that if you set up something like that for yourself where, hey, my income's going to increase. I want this much of my lifestyle to increase, and that's it. Create your own limits and then live inside those limits. So that way you can feel like you've gotten this accomplishment because you deserve it, right? You don't have to, eat ramen for the rest of your life just because you can, but do it with intention, everything with intention, and making sure you're not sacrificing your future self for your present desires.
I love that. And one more thing that I wanted to ask you about the same, like another thing that I see high income earners doing is they're getting, as you said, targeted by the financial advisor or is everybody who wants to help them, but help is subjective, right? So
Yes.
any advice for how they can navigate that? Because I think it can be
Yes.
tricky. Who do we even need on our team? Are these people actually worth, how do I know who is worth using as a high earner or who's being predatory?
Yes. I think the easiest way, it's not going to be, this answer is not going to cover all things. Okay.
Yeah.
But it covers most of them. Ask the person how they're getting paid. If the person's getting paid off of you buying like their offer, right? And like whatever benefits that'll come to them, like their check is not getting paid from you. Like it's not you like swiping your card. It's like, oh no, it's free. But then if you ask them how they get paid, you'll learn that it's because they sold you something and they get a commission off that thing. Then that's like a red flag. That's not to say anytime somebody, like, let's say I'm an affiliate for something, right? And I say, hey, you should try this. I've tried it before. I enjoyed it. You should try it. That doesn't necessarily mean that because the person is sharing something with you, then yes, that's a scam. But if their livelihood depends on you buying that thing, okay,
Yeah.
then that's a problem. And I had that example when we talk about like life insurance. Me and my husband had multiple life insurance plans because that's what this guy said you're supposed to do. And so when I came to be wise up a little bit, I'm like, listen, I have 3 insurance plans. Okay. Why? I have no kids. Why do I have 3 insurance plans? And so I had a term life, I think a universal, whatever, and then another whole life. And I was like, listen, sir, I'm going to keep this term, but I need one of these whole lives to go away. You tell me which one I should take away. The man got so mad.
Of course. You're taking his money.
He threw the paper across my table. I was like, what? I was like, okay, you showed yourself. Okay, you showed your tail. I got you.
Now I'm canceling both of them.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's the kind of thing you want to gauge, right? Is this person like forcing you to do this thing? Like you will, like I've never had a client come to me and they're like, I have to think about this. And like, but no, like if you don't do this, then you're not smart. Then you're not like, those are other things. That's another red flag.
Yeah.
Like if they're putting you down for not buying their product, they're not going to give you the space to think about it. Like those are all massive red flags. Like, oh, you need to be doing this. You have no choice but to do this or you will not be successful for the rest of your life. Then that's a red flag. That's an easy one.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Well, I think these are all really good tips, and it just means that you have to have discernment when it comes to your money and also who you're dealing with, who is supporting you in your money journey as well. So I know you coach clients and you help people to start building wealth. So what does the process of working with you look like?
Yeah, so usually people will book a Q&A call first. I call it the financial roadmap call. And basically it's making sure that the needs that they have are needs that I can help with, right? I will never want to take on a client that I'm not able to help with. Like one person came on and they were like, they want to learn real estate. Baby, that's not me. Okay. But here's somebody who could help you. And I pointed her in that direction. So that's the first thing is like, we're going to see if we're a match together. Is your goals trying to, so one of the things I work on is trying to make money simple for people. If you want your money to be convoluted, I'm not the coach for you. If you're looking for multiple income streams, I'm just not the person to teach that. Okay. Not to say that there's anything wrong with it, but I'm not the person to teach that. So those are the things that we weed out during that call. So then the second step would be the Smart Money Strategy session. And with the Smart Money Strategy session, we sit down and we create a plan for your money so that with every paycheck, you know exactly what to do with it. Like whether it's paying bills, saving, and you could put this on repeat. You could literally do this every single month and you're going to see whatever goal that you're working on, whether it's paying down debt, increasing your savings, increasing your investments, you're going to see that progress almost instantaneously. So one of my favorite client stories is this one girl, she was a OT from Florida, and she was like, I don't know where our money's going. I'm so embarrassed to have somebody look at my money because I have no clue what's going on with it. And she had like only $250 in savings. And then when we did this session alone, it can stand alone if you want to. And 3 months later, she had $2,500 in savings. And I'm like, that's amazing. Wow. You're able to accomplish these things. And then for the people who want the added support, like where they want, like, listen, I'm not going to set up these accounts if somebody's not watching me do it. I need motivation. I need accountability. I need support. Then they could go into my 90-day coaching program where we basically build the system from soup to nuts. So that's how it works.
Awesome. Well, I hope a lot of people check you out. Do you also, if someone's in Canada, can they also come and work with you as well?
Yes.
Is that
And
okay?
the beauty of it
Perfect.
is because like money principles in general are the same. So when people come to me from different areas, I just like maybe like look up like what it's called in their area, but the principles are the same. Like we talked about earlier, you just need to spend less than you make and then
Yeah.
save and invest that difference, right? But how do you do
Yeah.
that is what we work on in the program.
Okay, awesome. So, how can listeners connect with you and learn more about Our Green Life if they would like to?
Yes. So my favorite place is my email community. So if you sign up for the 3 Steps to Financial Freedom guide, you will not only learn like what it took to get here, which is basically the minimal steps you need to take to start on your financial freedom journey, where you're paying yourself first, you're looking for ways to decrease your expenses without decreasing your lifestyle, and then also just investing that difference. We go into detail with that in the guide. And then I'll drop you into my email community where I'm always sharing tips on money mindset, budgeting, debt repayment, investing, getting you savvy and confident when it comes to your money. So that's the best way to reach me. If you are, stingy with your email address, I get it. Everybody's trying to email you. You can check me out on Instagram at Our Green Life NJ, because New Jersey's where it's at, and or YouTube. I'm also there. You could just search my handle as well, Our Green Life NJ.
Awesome. Thank you, Prisca, for being here. If you had one last piece of advice that you'd give listeners so that they don't go broke trying to be a high earner, what would that piece of advice be?
Pay yourself first. There's no, and when I say pay yourself first, I mean on purpose, meaning don't just put it in savings to say you did and then take it back out. Pay yourself first, and
Yeah.
you will see that come in dividends, okay, over time.
Yes. I am a big believer in paying yourself first. If anybody's been listening to me for a while, they know I say this all the time. So we are aligned. I think that principle alone changed my life. So I'm sure it can change everybody else's that are listening too. And I hope everybody who is listening is going to apply at least 3 things. Okay, let's say one. Let's make it easy for you. At least
Yes.
one thing from this episode. And I hope to hear all your testimonies and see the change that has happened in your life from here. Well, thank you so much, Prisca, for being on the podcast. I really appreciate it. This was a great conversation. And everybody, thank you so much for listening. I will see you in the next episode. And if you did enjoy this, please share on Instagram. You can tag Prisca and I'll leave our handles in the description box, and just show us that you're listening to this episode, that you enjoyed the episode. And yeah, we'll make sure to repost it. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.